Okay, welcome back to 3rd and 23. It's that time of the year again. Conference preview, conference prediction time. In this video, I'm going to give you a top 5 in each one of the P4 standings on how I believe the conferences are going to shake out with conference champions and each one of the top 5 teams' odds on who I would put some money down besides the conference champion, of course. Just in case there's some Hail Marys or some dark horses out there that I think you could take a chance on and maybe win some money. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to give you the top 5 for each one of the P4 conferences, starting out with the ACC. Okay, starting off with the ACC. No surprises, I have Miami finishing first place in the standings and then winning the ACC championship over the Clemson Tigers. Miami has the best talent in the league. They bring in Darian Mensah at quarterback. He transfers in with Cooper Barcotti. He's wide receiver at Duke. You got Malachi Toney back. And overall, you got a really easy schedule. And the rest of the ACC isn't really on the same talent threshold that the Miami Hurricanes are. I want to remind everybody that this time last year, the Clemson Tigers were in this exact same spot. Big favorite in the ACC to win, and they laid a dud. I'm not saying Miami's going to do it, but I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. That same Clemson team this season, I still think they got pieces. I know a lot of people are writing them off, but I think they have 2 great edge rushers, including one who I think is going to go in the first round of the NFL draft. They got the best linebacker in the country, in my opinion. They got a great corner tandem. They have maybe the best wide receiver room in the ACC. Chris Vicena returns at quarterback. He started the SMU game last year, and he didn't look that bad. So, you know, they counted Dabo out 2 years ago, and Clemson responded and won the ACC championship. Count Dabo out again. I'm just saying I see a lot of talent here. I see Clemson with an opportunity to get to the ACC title game. Then we got Louisville. Louisville has the best running back tandem in the ACC, maybe in the country. But they got Kineholtz at quarterback, transfers in from Ohio State, and nobody's ever really seen him play, so we don't really know what we're getting with him. But I do believe in that running back duo. Pittsburgh, the freshman backfield from a year ago are now sophomores. The quarterback Mason Heinschel, the running back Ja'Karian Turner. I think them and maybe the best defensive line in the ACC should give Pitt Panthers a pretty good season this year. And then rounding out 5th, UVA. UVA had a great year last season. You could probably say they choked away in the ACC championship. I think they're a worse team than they were a year ago, but if you take a look at UVA's schedule, it's pretty cake. They should have a solid defense, and I think they're going to have a decent offense. So that wraps it up for the ACC. As far as sprinkling any money down, I would only bet on the Miami Hurricanes to win the ACC. If you're feeling froggy, I would go ahead and put something down on the Clemson Tigers. Okay, next up we have the Big Ten. In the Big Ten, as you can see, I have the Indiana Hoosiers repeating as the Big Ten champion. I have them beating the Oregon Ducks. Oregon is a popular pick this year to either win the national championship or win the Big Ten, either or. And I think they're going to have a great season, but I still don't think they can get over the Indiana Hoosier hump. You still got Curt Cignetti. They go in the portal and get Josh Hoover to transfer in from TCU. No, he's not Mendoza, but he's a very experienced quarterback who should have a good season under Cignetti. You bring in Nick Marsh at wide receiver. You pair him with Charlie Becker, who was a baller last season. I think everybody forgot that. So you're looking at a really good offense for Indiana. They got some pieces back on defense that graduated, and you guys know the reasons why that these guys are allowed to come back to school. So they brought back some key pieces back to their defense as well. So I like Indiana to have a good season. Oregon should have a great season as well. I think you can make an argument that they're one of the most talented teams in the country, front to back on both sides of the ball. They have a great defensive line. You got Dante Moore, experienced quarterback back, fast wide receivers, a really good running back in Jordan Davison. So Oregon Ducks should have a really good season. USC got coming in at 3rd. Lincoln, this is do or die for Lincoln Riley. If they don't make the playoff this year, I think Lincoln Riley might be gone. So he's gonna be under a lot of pressure. So USC's got to do it now. They got a team. Jaden Maiava back at quarterback. They have a great tandem at running back. They have 2 really good wide receivers to throw to in Terrell Anderson and Hines on the outside. And defensively, they hired Gary Patterson. Gary Patterson, a great defensive mind. Probably the best defensive coordinator that Lincoln Riley has ever had, or at least has had in his time at USC. So I think he's going to give a big improvement to the defense that still might not be that great, but certainly going to see some improvement this year. And then big is they're going to be able to catch Oregon and Ohio State. I believe both of those games are at home this season, so that's going to be huge for the Trojans. Speaking of Ohio State, I got them 4th. A lot of people got Ohio State's coming in preseason number 1. A lot of people have Ohio State winning the national title or winning the Big Ten. If you see these people ask them this question, why? What do you see? They're going to say Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, best player in college football. But what else is there? If you ask them that, I guarantee you they're going to be drawing a blank because there's not much else there on offense. Yes, you have Julian Sayin, but the rest of the wide receiver room, man, you're counting on freshmen. And I know Ohio State brings in guys and all of that, but still, you're counting on freshmen. Running back room, not really that strong. You don't got Eddie George back there, right? Defensively, they have had so much attrition over the last 2 years. That's just got to catch up with them. It's caught up with everybody else in college football. It's caught up to Georgia before and Kirby Smart. They just lost too much defensively over the last 2 years. They got to have a kind of a come back to earth kind of year. I'm not saying they're going to be bad on defense, but I don't think they're going to be as good as they've been the past couple of years. And then Penn State. I have Penn State 5th. Penn State's definitely not a top 5 team in the Big Ten. But the reason I have them 5th is because they missed the big 3 of Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. So they get the scheduling gift this year. And while I think other teams, because of scheduling, because they're basically Iowa State East this year, right? Matt Campbell came in and brought his entire roster from Iowa State. They got a lot of experience on that team. Hard ceiling on how good they're going to be able to be. But they're going to be good enough, I think, to be able to take 5th this year. So, who would I put something on? Definitely, obviously, I would put something on Indiana. Oregon, I like their odds as well. I would put something on them. I probably wouldn't go past that. I can't see Lincoln Riley winning the Big Ten, and I can't really see the same with Ohio State either. If you really want a Hail Mary, Penn State, I mean, they do miss the big 3, so they got the cake schedule. If they're lucky enough to trip into the Big Ten title game, because of that schedule, you're 60 minutes away from winning money. So Penn State might be all right for a Hail Mary play. Okay, next up we have the Big 12. All right, so Big 12, as you see here, I have Texas Tech winning the Big 12. I have them repeating as Big 12 champ. I know the big news was all about Sorsby, but that seems so long ago. That was just a few months ago. Yes, he's gone. And with Sorsby, yes, they would have been a better team. But Will Hammond is a pretty good quarterback. We saw him last year as a freshman. He looked good. He's been rehabbing, but I expect him to still be a pretty solid quarterback for Texas Tech this season. And they're just stacked. They're stacked everywhere. Running back, receiver, defensively. Texas Tech is loaded as far as by Big 12 standards. They're much more talented than every other team in this conference. So I have them repeating. BYU, I have them taking 2nd. I think it's going to be a repeat of last year's Big 12 championship game. BYU does not play Texas Tech this year, so they have that working in their favor. You have L.J. Martin back at running back, one of the best running backs in the country. Bear Bachmeier had a really strong season as a true freshman last year. Expect him to take a step forward, right? Weak on the outside, but with the running game, I think Bear Bachmeier, mobile quarterback, I think they're going to be a power running kind of team and relying on a veteran defense. 3rd, I have TCU. TCU might surprise some people because, yes, they lost Josh Hoover. They're replacing him with a quarterback from Harvard. I don't think that's going to be the greatest of moves there, but defensively, TCU, veteran team. They got vets actually all over the team. So they're really just a quarterback away from really being able to challenge the big Texas Tech in the Big 12, but because I don't believe they have that QB, there's a hard ceiling on how high I think TCU can go. But they have a favorable schedule, and they're a veteran team. I'm expecting TCU to have a quietly good season. Houston Cougars, this is a popular team to be a dark horse to win the Big 12 this year. A lot of it has to do with Connor Wegman back at quarterback. At wide receiver, Amari Thomas is back. And then at running back, they get Mekhi Hughes to transfer from Oregon. If you remember 2 years ago at Tulane, he was the hottest running back prospect on the transfer portal market. He goes to Oregon. I don't know what happened there. I guess he was in a doghouse. He never really saw the field. Very good running back. If he gets the Tulane form, Houston's got a trio there at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. But the thing is, I can't really put them much higher than that because I don't believe they're going to win on the road in Texas Tech in the Big 12 opener, for one. And for two, I do think that they are sliding on the defensive side of the ball. They did lose some pieces. And 5th, I have Kansas State. Colin Klein, new head coach for the K-State Wildcats. I think he's the perfect coach for quarterback Avery Johnson. I think Kansas State, with Avery Johnson and Colin Klein combination should lead them to have a good season. And they've got some pieces elsewhere to contend for top 5 in the Big 12. But once you get past, really get past 4th in the Big 12, it's a lot of parity. A lot of things can shake out. Depends on how the ball bounces, right? And then as far as who I would put something on, I would really only put anything on Texas Tech and BYU. I think both of those teams are the top 2 teams by far in the Big 12. And then finally, we got the creme de la creme, the SEC. Starting off with Georgia Bulldogs. I believe Georgia is going to win the SEC. On paper, I do believe Texas Longhorns are the most talented team in America. However, until I see Steve Sarkisian win a big game, right, make the right calls in big moments, beat Georgia in a big game, I can't give it to Texas and Steve Sarkisian. So I'm going Georgia Bulldogs. I think Georgia's going to have a power rushing team. They have a great running back room. Gunnar Stockton, mobile quarterback, gritty, grimy type of guy too. Offensive line, going to have a very good offensive line. I think they have question marks on the outside at wide receivers. So they're probably going to rely on tight ends a lot as well, but they do have the tight ends to be able to make plays. And then defensively, I think you're seeing kind of a come full circle moment for the Georgia Bulldogs. For the past couple years, their defense wasn't bad, but it wasn't as great as it used to be. I think Georgia Bulldogs are going to have a top 3 defense in America, maybe the best linebacker group in America. Expect big things from that side of the ball from the Georgia Bulldogs. Texas, like I said, most talented team in the country. You have Arch Manning, who was balling as the season wore on. He got better and better. Was balling by the end of the last season. Running back, they go get 2 RB1s, Hollywood Smothers and Raleigh Brown. Wide receiver, they go get Cam Coleman, the Porter to pair with Ryan Moore. You can call those 2 wide receiver ones, right? So stacked offensively. Offensive line was a big issue for them last year. Did they shore that up? That's the big question, right? Arch Manning was running for his life. People might not have realized that from a year ago. Defensively, best edge rusher in America. Colin Simmons returns. And they do have some talent on the back end. Question mark, though, is that linebacker. That should be noted. Oklahoma, I have 3rd. Oklahoma, to me, best defense in America last season. Going to be in the conversation again for best defense in America. They're going to be led like guys like Taylor Wine up front. They did lose some edge rushers, but Taylor Wine returns up front, and I expect him to have a massive year. Brad Venables knows what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, I think they're going to finally get some balance to that defense. John Mateer comes back at quarterback. He stunk it up after his hand injury. I think the hand injury is the reason why he stunk it up, so he comes back healthy this year. You have Isaiah Satania back at wide receiver. You paired him with, I believe they got Terrell Harris from UVA at wide receiver, so they went in the portal and got some other weapons on the outside. And they returned both their running backs who did not perform well last season, but I see the talent. I think they come back and take a step forward. I think Oklahoma Sooners are a very dangerous team this season. Tennessee Volunteers, they still haven't announced their starting quarterback, so is it going to be George McIntyre or is it going to be the 5-star true freshman quarterback? Either way, I believe in Josh Heupel. I think he's a great coach. I think Deshaun Bishop is a great running back, one of the best in the country. Great offensive line. They have really good wide receivers on the outside. I expect Tennessee to have a very good offense this year. Defensively, there's been some issues here in fall camp, right? They've been having some injuries on that side of the ball. They just had a major loss at safety. But even that said, I always thought their back end was a question mark. So yeah, it just makes it more of a question mark. But I do think they're very good up front, especially at linebacker. So I think it's going to help their defense out this season. And then lastly, or 5th, I have Alabama. Alabama to me is essentially the same team they were a year ago. A year ago, they had Tyler Simpson, so first-round draft pick, though he maybe shouldn't have been. They're replacing him with a blue-chip quarterback in Keelan Russell, who's been in the system now over a year, so I'm expecting him to be that good. Last year, they couldn't run the ball. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball this year either. They didn't get a running back, so that's not changing. And then last year, they had a good, not great defense. This year, I expect them to have a good, not great defense, but though they do have 2 great safeties on the back end. So Alabama is just going to be a passing team that's going to be one-dimensional and hoping that a above average defense helps them win football games. So, and who would I put anything on? Obviously Georgia, obviously Texas, great talented, very talented football team. And then I would put something down on that Oklahoma future as well, because I think that is a dangerous team and, in my opinion, probably one of the top 8 teams in America. So anyways, that wraps it up for this video. Here we are. College football season is kicking off in about 6 days. I will have a CFP national preview in a few days, so I'll release my bracket. You guys can see who I'm going to put futures on for national championship, for the national championship. And anyways, if you like the content or if you disagree or agree with anything that I'm saying, feel free to comment, subscribe, like, all of that, and look forward to seeing